All right, this is part 4, chapter 4 of the book Business Plans That Work by Jeffrey A. Timmons, Andrew Zacharakis, and Stefan Spinelli. So, chapter 4 is Industry, Zoom Lens on Opportunity. The goal of this section is to illustrate the opportunity and show why there is a significant market to capture. Exhibit 4.1 shows the typical structure for this section. So if we speak of Exhibit 4.1, the industry section is industry definition by size, growth, major players, and trends. Segments, define your segment, size, growth, major players, and trends. All right, so we start with the industry definition. What is the broader industry in which your venture will participate? We try to be expansive about the industry definition to make the vastness of the opportunity clear, even if we will attack a specific niche. For instance, Firefly operates in the toy industry. We can use the opportunity component from the Timmons model described in Chapter 1 to articulate the opportunity, detail the industry size, the growth rate, and the major players, talk about the nature of the industry. Is it emerging, consolidated, or mature? Next, talk about the major trends occurring in the industry. For example, Firefly highlights several favorable trends. The education toy segment, which Firefly suggests is the overall niche in the therapeutic toys falls, is growing faster than is the overall toy market. Explaining the pertinent trends bolsters the opportunity and suggests what white space there may be within the industry. Your assessment of industry trends is an important part of the articulation of your vision. The next step is to define the segments within the industry. For example, Firefly segments toys by plush animal dolls, video games, educational activities and games, and the catch-all other. Then you need to define your niche in terms of similar to those you use to define the industry. Specifically, detail the size, growth, major players, and trends that affect the environment in which you will enter. A common error in writing this section is to focus on your own company. It's premature to talk about your company before setting the scene. Instead, use a dispassionate, arm's-length analysis of the industry with the goal of highlighting a space or a gap that is underserved. You are creating the stage to introduce your company a bit later in the plan. Remember, most people will have read the executive summary, and so they know what your concept is and can use that to assess whether they believe your description of the competitive environment. As the entrepreneur, you should keep in mind how people will read the plan. Every statement and statistic you cite adds credibility and reinforces your story, but it also triggers areas that readers will want to investigate. As we read plans, for instance, we think about ways to validate the entrepreneur's claims. In other words, we start constructing a due diligence schedule. That means identifying key assumptions such as whether the therapeutic niche has the potential that Lauren claims. To validate that, we might contact our brain trust members, people who have expertise in the industry and can gauge whether Lauren's scenario makes sense, and talk to customers, distributors, and even competitors. Note that the types of actions investors or other stakeholders might take mirror actions that you as an entrepreneur should have taken. Thus, entrepreneurs often can guide stakeholders in their due diligence by connecting them with customers and others with whom the entrepreneur has already spoken. Let's take a look at the Firefly industry section. So, Firefly Industry Analysis section. Market Analysis 2.1 Industry. In 2000, the international toy industry surpassed $55 billion in sales. The US traditional toy market was $25 billion in 2001, growing at approximately 2% a year. Traditional toys include plush animals, dolls, games, and so forth, but not video games. The toy industry is consolidated with three major players: Hasbro, Inc., Mattel, and Lego, accounting for 42% of the revenues. Several trends impact the industry. So we sized up the market and growth rate. We identified industry structure and the fact that it's fairly consolidated. This would make the opportunity less attractive, as these major players probably have more power in the distribution channels. Investors would keep this in mind as they read the rest of the plan to gauge how well the proposed strategy counters this weakness. And we also identify major trends and bold them so that they capture the reader's attention. Less time available for unstructured play. Children are more scheduled today. On average, children 3 to 11 years of age spend 6 hours a day in school or preschool versus only 4 hours a day in the 1980s. Outside of school, kids continue structured play with sports, dance, and other extracurricular activities. This all results in 30 minutes or less per day of unstructured play than was the case in the 1980s. Thus, children have less time for toys. Getting older, younger phenomenon. Kids face more pressure at an early age, whether it is a lack of downtime or an increased emphasis on scholastic performance. In 1999, 38% of children reported that they received rewards for getting good grades, up from 27% 2 years earlier. This has led to a convergence of play and other elements in the child's life. Thus, toys connect these disparate elements of the child's life, such as education and play. Growth of educational toy market. Internet research and analysis firm Gomez Advisors found that educational toys are the fastest growing segment of the toy industry, having reached $4 billion in 2000. Consumer purchasing trends indicate that parents want wholesome toys that remind them of their childhood and that provide their children with the tools for learning. Educational toys usually are sold at a smaller specialty retail stores or trusted toy catalogs, where there is a greater emphasis on child development and a more high-touch sales process. Figure 2.1. Toy industry, $25 billion. Other education activity toys, infant preschool games 2.2, plush toys 2.0, dolls and action figures 4.6. So these are all billions of dollars of the various segments and how the market breaks down. Seasonality. Seasonality continues to be a key factor in the toy industry, with 45% of all toy sales occurring during the fourth quarter. At the same time, however, toys are relatively immune to downturns in the economy. Britt Beamer, president of America's Research Group, found that parents may cut back on spending but not on their kids. Therapeutic toy niche. So this section goes over from the industry overview down to the target niche. It is interesting to note that the therapeutic toy niche isn't defined by anyone else. Lauren is creating a story, saying a new niche is emerging. She is foreshadowing what will be one of her company's distinct advantages. Note that this trend also links directly to Firefly's business model. It suggests revenue drivers and cost drivers, marketing, distribution, and so forth. So therapeutic toy niche is therapeutic toys are an emerging niche within the educational toy space. Therapeutic toys can be defined as toys that are used to help kids who are working through either a physical or mental situation. Although many toys can be useful in such cases, therapeutic toys are specifically designed to help children in their recovery process. Firefly will focus primarily on children facing mental crises, such as the death in the family or a divorce. Therapeutic toys leverage trends in the overall market and counter others. For example, as playtime decreases and goal-oriented toys become more common, therapeutic toys are a natural extension of the education niche. Note how this paragraph ties together the various identified trends and suggests how they naturally lead to the therapeutic space. Therapeutic toys help parents connect with the kids' goal orientation in the limited time they have together each day. Time available for unstructured play. Therapeutic toys also may be less sensitive to seasonality, as they are more than just a gift. They are a tool to help children manage crisis, which can happen at any point in the year. The potential market is large. According to American Academy of Child and Adolescent Psychiatry, 1 in 6 American children under the age of 18 is coping with a personal crisis in any given year. Therapeutic toys can help children overcome these crises. This helps size the therapeutic niche. It would have been better to take this further and give a raw number of how many children this means. Okay? So now we talk about the customer. So we spoke about the industry. We spoke about the market analysis in that industry, and now we're speaking about the customer. Once the plan is defined, the market space it plans to enter, the target customer has to be examined in detail. The entrepreneur needs to define who the customer is by using demographic and psychographic information. The better the entrepreneur can define her customer, the more apt she is to deliver a product that the customer truly wants. A venture capitalist recently told one of the authors that the most impressive entrepreneur is the one who comes into an office and not only identifies who the customer is in terms of the demographics and psychographics, but can name that customer by address, phone number, and email address. When you understand who your customers are, you can assess what compels them to buy, how your company can sell to them, direct sales, retail, internet, direct mail, etc., how much it's going to cost to acquire and retain them, and so forth. A schedule inserted into the text that describes customers based on the basic parameters can be very powerful. It communicates a lot of data quickly. The key to understanding your customers is to get to know them. The best means of doing so prior to launch is to talk to them. Many would-be entrepreneurs fail to talk to their customers. They assume since they would be interested in their own products, so would others. This is often a fatal assumption. We encourage you to have informal conversations with your customers. If at all possible, observe them doing the activity or work that your product or service would make better, easier, or more cost-effective. Taking such action will help you modify your offering so that you can better meet the customer's expectations. For example, the founder of Firefly, Lauren McLaughlin, has years of experience working with children, especially those who faced emotional difficulties. She built on her personal experiences working with distressed children by speaking with their parents. She learned that parents felt helpless in trying to comfort their children. The parent didn't really understand what was bothering their kids. It basically came down to a communication barrier, and Lori knew from her professional experience that toys can bridge that barrier. She then talked to a number of child psychologists and other experts who worked with her children to gain a deep understanding of what her customer wanted. Her next step was to do a limited run of the product and see if she could sell some comfort creatures. The fact that she has taken these steps and passed these milestones communicates her action orientation and lessens the perceived risk that the venture won't succeed. Talking to your customer is invaluable, but you also gain insight by talking to others who have knowledge of your customer. Talk to your potential suppliers, competition, and other people in companies involved in the market space. Going to a trade show is invaluable. In such venues, people are there to share information, and so your competitors might be more apt to discuss what they perceive as the customer's needs. Lauren, for example, attended the American International Toy Fair in New York, as well as trade shows for key customers such as the Play Therapy Association conference. The key to understanding your customer is to do primary research. Get out there and interact with the customer. In many cases, the end user is not the person who makes the purchase decision. For example, the end users of Firefly Toys are children ages 2 to 6. The person who buys the product is the parent, the caregiver, or possibly an institution that supports the parents. Each of these players has a different motivation, and you as an entrepreneur need to be aware of that motivation so that you can design a product or service that meets their needs. For example, philanthropic organizations want to support children. In this case, Lauren needs to communicate how the product helps parents help their children. The child wants a lovable, interesting toy, and so Firefly also has to develop a toy that children will play with. Understanding how all these users, influencers, and actual buyers interact with each other will help you design the product or service that best meets their need. When talking to customers when talking to competitors, never misrepresent yourself as a customer. Many of your competitors started out as entrepreneurs as well, and they understand the difficulties you're facing, and so often they will talk to you freely, except in the most competitive, cutthroat industries. Alright, Firefly Customers section. Firefly's target end customers are caregivers who are meeting the needs of the preschool age child or children coping with a stressful life challenge. These caregivers are split into two segments. So we identified the buyer, the user, and careful attention to the decision makers. Parents and direct caregivers of preschool age children, caregivers in institutional settings. Although many of these customers will buy the product directly, an important distribution player is philanthropic organizations and hospitals that will provide the products directly to the children as part of their treatment. Parents and direct caregivers. Firefly's direct target market segment is composed of literate adults between 25 and 49 years of age with annual incomes of $50,000 or more. This age range captures the bulk of the parents, 59.5 million of the more than 75 million U.S. parents in 1999. Caregivers in this group purchase 67% of the children's products and services. Parents buy toys for any number of reasons, including special occasions, birthdays, Christmas, etc., requests from the child, and to achieve certain goals in child development. Firefly focuses on those parents who are aware that their child needs extra support during difficult life situations. So here we had the demographic descriptions of the customer. Lauren clearly believes that an educated middle and upper income parent is more likely to buy her product. Lauren needs to segment parents further. It's highly unlikely that a startup can market to 80% of all parents, nor would it be effective to do so. So what subsegment is the sweet spot? And then there's a psychographic description about the child's development as a certain point at which parents would want to buy. So Firefly focuses on those parents who are aware of these situations. Of the more than 32 million parents with young children, Simmons' 1999 database suggests that nearly 2 million of them encountered a difficult life situation such as moving or divorcing and purchased a plush or educational toy. This suggests a strong market from parents whose children are facing tough life situations. Using statistics validates that the psychographic motivation compels a customer to buy. The question becomes, how do you reach the 2 million primary target customers? Caregivers in institutions. These caregivers include nurses, preschool teachers, child psychologists, and child counselors. They work with children in settings where life challenges emerge as both crisis situations and regular developmental difficulties. Of the nearly 10 million such caregivers, more than 25% purchased a plush or educational toy in 1999. They tend to purchase new products at conferences, through newsletter recommendations or through recommendation of another caregiver. Identifying the different professionals who would be interested suggests possible strategies on how to reach them, such as conferences and trade shows. We'll look at this again in the marketing section. Hospitals, philanthropic organizations, and schools. Many caregivers and parents receive advice on products from hospitals and organizations that focus on children issues. These organizations may also act as a buyer and give the product to children through the caregivers. The list below includes some examples of potential institutional buyers. Firefly has talked with these organizations and they have expressed interest in working with Firefly. Hospital list: Dana-Farber Cancer Institute, Tufts Medical Center, philanthropic organizations, YWCA International, YMCA, UNICEF, Save the Children, Child Life Programs, National Resource Center Against Domestic Violence, and so on. So, and then a list of schools as well. The Lemberg Preschool at Brandeis University, the WIMP Femur Nursery School at Vassar College, the Lab School at the University of Chicago. So basically you're listing out your actual customers and justifying why those customers would buy and how big that customer space is and what their psychology and all those demographic and stuff are. So the next section, the last one. So we spoke about the industry, we spoke about the customer, and the last one is the competition. And so let's go over that. The competitive analysis is derived directly from the customer analysis. Specifically, you have identified your market segment and described what the customer looks like and wants. The key factor leading to the competitive analysis is what the customer wants in a particular product. These product attributes form a basis of comparison with your direct and indirect competitors. A competitive profile matrix is a useful tool to communicate those attributes and show how the competition is addressing them. The matrix figure not only creates a powerful visual catch point, it conveys information regarding gaps in the current offering, setting the stage to describe your competitive advantage and the basis of your company's strategy. After a brief introductory paragraph, the competitive profile matrix should lead the section and be followed by text describing the analysis and its implications. Creating a competitive profile matrix requires an understanding of what the marketplace values, the key success factors. In other words, what makes the customer buy one company's product over another. Think about a restaurant. People often choose to dine in restaurants based on a number of factors, including the location, the price, and the quality of the food and the atmosphere. Because you have a strong understanding of your customer, you should be able to identify the key success factors for your market space. Once you have the key success factors, you list your competition and your venture in the matrix and then evaluate how each company fares in dealing with the key success factors. Finding information about your competition can be easy if a company is public, harder if it's private, and very difficult if it's operating in stealth mode or if it hasn't even announced itself to the world. Most libraries have access to databases that contain a mother lode of information about publicly traded companies. See Exhibit 4.2 for some example sources. So Exhibit 4.2 here, sample source for database information on public-private companies. InfoTrack, Factivia, LexisNexis, Dunn's Principal International Business, Dunn's $1 million Premium, Hoover's Online, CorpTech, Reuters.com, RDS BizSuite, Bloomberg. All of these are databases of information on public and private companies. So I won't go into the details of each one here, but feel free to look them up and see. But privately held companies and stealth ventures represent a greater challenge. The best way for savvy entrepreneurs to gather this information is through their networks and at trade shows. Who should be in the entrepreneur's network? First and foremost are the customers the entrepreneur hopes to sell to in the near future, just as you are, or should be talking to your potential customers. Your competition is interacting with customers every day, and your customers probably are aware of the stealth competition that is on the horizon. Although many entrepreneurs are fearful, verging on the brink of paranoia that valuable information will fall in the wrong hands and lead to new competition that invalidates the current venture, the reality is that entrepreneurs who operate in a vacuum, meaning they don't talk to customers or show up at trade shows, fail far more than who do talk to everybody they can. Talking allows entrepreneurs to get invaluable feedback that enables them to reshape the product offering before launching a product that may or may not be accepted by the marketplace. Network not only to find out about your competition, but also to improve your own venture concept. Once you've completed your competitor analysis, the stage is set to talk about your venture. That is the reason we suggest you include your venture in the matrix. It highlights where your venture expects to have a competitive advantage. Firefly's competitor section. 3.0 competition. Typically, we would suggest that you provide an overview of the competition outside your niche, indirect competition, and also substitutes for your product, as that may influence competition within your space. For example, it's plausible that other educational toy companies will enter the therapeutic space. Thus, Lauren may want to discuss some of the larger players in the educational segment as a group before highlighting her closest competitors. There are also substitutes for toys that may help foster communication between parents and children, such as sessions with counselors. Okay, so the therapeutic toy segment is emerging from the educational toy niche. Currently, there are few competitors in the space, but like the overall toy industry, the segment has the potential to be highly competitive with low barriers to entry and multiple niche players. The key to success is differentiating the product based on the number of attributes, including price, quality, branding, distribution, and ancillary features. Exhibit 3.1 highlights 3 of Firefly's primary competitors and shows how Firefly compares to them. So we have identified the attributes on which companies compete within the therapeutic niche. That is price, quality, branding, distribution, and ancillary features. Next, Exhibit 3.1, we're building up the competitive matrix. The matrix summarizes the competitors and illustrates how Firefly compares. So we've put the company in each company in a column, and then put the various features we're comparing in the rows. So, product, Folkmanis, they make puppets. Manhattan Toys makes toys and stuffed animals. Spinzoa company makes teddy bears and audio tapes. Firefly makes comfort creatures and kits. And similarly, they've done that for product price, for features, for therapeutics, for caregiver information, packaging, marketing, advertising, distribution, and sales. Now, the highlighted competitors have high quality standards and strong distribution. The factors in the matrix were chosen because they are the primary areas of competition within the toy industries. Companies first compete on product quality, however, customers do differentiate based on price and brand. The greatest challenge and strength of any toy company lies in the distribution channels. These companies have become important players within the educational market because of their ability to integrate the above factors. Remember, a value-added investor is one who probably knows the toy industry. These points must ring true for them. Okay? And then there's a description for each of the competitor companies. Folkmanis. Folkmanis is a premier family-owned puppet manufacturer founded 25 years ago. Folkmanis markets a variety of puppets that have been used for therapeutic purposes. However, the company does not promote its puppets as therapeutic toys and is not expected to do so in the future. The puppets do not come with any ancillary support for caregivers. Manhattan Toys. Manhattan Toys is a private company established in 1979. They design an array of toys, from plush dolls to developmental toys. Manhattan Toys' mission is to create toys that engage children and their parents in creative, meaningful play. They have deeply penetrated the specialty retail market. 9,000 specialty retailers carry their products. These stores range from museum and hospital gift stores to fashionable clothing stores. Manhattan is probably the strongest competitor in the field. However, its distribution channels favor a broad retail market. Additionally, their toys lack therapy-specific features. Next is the Spinoza Company, a communication specialist and a special education teacher founded in the Spinoza Company in 1984. The core product of the Spinoza is the Spinoza Bear, a soft teddy bear designed to be a resource for parents and teachers. Inside the bear is a cassette player and speakers that play special audio tapes sold by the company. The purpose of the bear is to provide a comforting presence that delivers lighthearted messages. They sell 8,000 bears a year across the country and in Canada, primarily through connections with hospitals, hospice programs, and charity organizations, which purchase the bears for children in need. The core product price is $99.95. Spinoza's bears have therapeutic features that set them apart, but the bears are priced very high. So in summary, all these companies produce products that have the potential for therapeutic use, but only Spinoza actively taps that market. The keys for success, aside from quality, are to build strong relationships within the hospital, philanthropic organization, and school distribution channels. The summary highlights the key implications for success, namely the importance of building strong distribution through non-traditional channels. Chapter summary: the industry, customer, and competition section of the plan lays the platform for you to introduce your vision. It is best to use a dispassionate tone. You need to present quantitative data, footnoting the source, to describe the industry, customer, and competitors. The more rigorously you describe and validate the context in which your venture will compete, the better you will understand how to compete. In other words, this portion of the business planning process is where you often gain the deepest learning. This learning will help you make better decisions. Furthermore, presenting this information well will strengthen your story and impress investors. Remember, when you build a house, everything rests on the foundation. If the foundation is weak, the house will crumble. This section of the plan is the foundation on which the other sections are built. Build it thoughtfully and completely. That is the end of chapter 4, and I will see you in the next video for chapter 5. Thank you for joining. I'm Aditya Mittal, and I'll see you next time.